Hey everybody, how are you?
Hey.
Thanks for coming out to Gershwin Live at Dixon Place, where we welcome stalwart generative forces in the downtown firmament for close to 20 years. More than half of that being at the Gershwin Hotel. And after that hotel, like many things are, was sold off, we were welcomed with open arms to Dixon Place, and we have been plying our collaborative trade here ever since. So tonight we have a very special guest. I have a sense that this crowd is pretty familiar with this guest. I feel like it's a pretty stand-friendly crowd tonight, so you probably know the whole history, but just for the sake of just honor and ceremony and celebration, let's just go back over the highlights, which include, of course, the momentous discovery in Washington Square Park of what was then known as the human television, and still known as the human television, Stan Baker. Some years later, Stan generated perhaps, I would say not perhaps, certainly his greatest creative triumph, who is now going to be up in the sound booth, and is going to be part of the show as well. Max McGuire is directing this evening. Stan's going to tell you the rest, but basically what we're talking about is, coming from a downtown career that began in the early 80s, Stan was lured into an unusual, somewhat lucrative, and certainly a niche that proved to be a little more complex than anticipated, which was, of course, his enduring stint as a party clown to the rich and famous. So I will be passing around an envelope, which is a suggested donation of $10, which goes to the performer in the series. We will thank, as always, Ellie, the grand dame of Dixon Place. And everybody else here who makes this so special. So, without further ado, thank you for coming.
All right. Thank you. My best production. Thank you very much, Charles. I do want to say just one quick word of caution, so to speak. This is pretty much an open dress rehearsal, and that means I might be calling for line. And that doesn't mean I'm asking for cocaine. However, I might feel like asking for cocaine. Don't give it to me. Okay, and now, party clowns of the rich and famous. Woo! I have a confession to make. For many years, I did something to pay the rent that I'm not very proud of. It's euphemistically called event entertainment. But let's call it what it really is. I was a party clown of the rich and famous. Yeah, that's right. I played the meet and greets of the ruling elites. The gaudy, fun events of the haughty 1%. The whoop-de-doos of the who's-de-who's. But I didn't start out that way. Flashback to Easter Sunday, the year 1900 and some other numbers. I was a young, idealistic actor. I wanted to change the world with my art. And so, of course, I was dressed as, it was Easter, a rented Easter bunny costume, and I was selling overpriced paper flowers at the Easter parade on 5th Avenue. You know, what do you call it? Audience challenging, envelope pushing, People's theater. Psychologists call that kind of thinking cognitive dissonance. Yeah, it's an aggressive denial of the facts that conflict with one's beliefs, but what the fuck do psychologists know? You know what I'm saying? Besides, my bunny was wearing a turquoise tuxedo. I think that's turquoise. So that made it art, kinda. Yeah, and besides, throngs of moms and kids were pushing to get photos with me. Yeah, and that was years before Times Square became the home of the ass-grabbing Elmos. Just then, through the crowd emerges this guy with a cape and a cane and long hair and a Salvador Dali mustache. And he fixes on me and says, "Oh, Bush Bunny, you come to my party. Give your flowers to my guests. I pay you." Yeah, sure. Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Where's the party?
3 weeks.
Let me try that. Tra-de-wix?
No, 3 weeks.
Tra-de-wix?
20 weeks, 20 weeks. Hotel Plaza, 8 o'clock.
Oh, okay, I got the Hotel Plaza part. Your grumpiness. Then it occurs to me, what if this guy's really Salvador Dali? So I ask him his name, and he snorts,
Salvador Dali.
the subtext being,
You stupid shit.
then he spins around and disappears into the crowd. Holy shit, Salvador Dali just hired me to perform at his party. Oh man, this could be my big break. So I hustle my furry ass over to the plaza, and it turns out that the party's in the basement in the legendary eatery Trader Vic's. Yeah, when I get there, Dali's sitting at the end of a very, very long table of, I don't know, 15 or 20 guests. And I'm sitting at the other end on the back of my chair, chewing on a carrot and guzzling Mai Tais. So I hop off and give the first flower to Dali's wife, Gala, who, wow, she was very well preserved for 107. Which, of course, to a 20-something like myself meant she was probably 75. And then, as we eat, Dali holds court. Occasionally, he comes over to give me another carrot and pat me on the head and grunts.
Bush Bunny.
I thought maybe I should point out that Bugs Bunny never wore a turquoise tuxedo, especially one with a pink satin vest. But then I remembered, Dali's a surrealist, so he's probably on mushrooms. So I just let it go. Just then, a paparazzo enters and orders me to, well, to strike some pretty compromising poses. Playboy bunny poses. Like on my knees, kissing the end of Dali's ornate walking stick. I was pretty drunk, but I'm pretty sure I didn't kiss any other ornate things that night. And then the party starts winding down, and I spot Dali and Gala headed for the door. Oh wait, Monsieur Dali. You said you pay me.
Come to Hotel St. Regis tomorrow, noon. I pay you.
Wow, surrealists are so gracious. So the next day, I'm in Dali's private seat at the Hotel St. Regis with a whole new bunch of Dali disciples. Finally, the great man enters and orders me to kneel in the middle of the floor. Again with the kneeling. Must be his favorite position. No, I get it. He's the king. I'm a mere woodland creature. Albeit a cute furry one. I notice that Dali has something in his hat. And as he circles me, everyone gets out their cameras. And then he stops behind me, and as if on cue, everyone points their Nikons at the Easter Bunny. and nervous to the point of twitching, which is good for my character. I scratch my nose. I scratch my ears. I do my best Bugs Bunny / Hannibal Lecter sound.
Hey, what's up?
Clarice! Still, nothing happens. Then, suddenly, in my peripheral vision, I spy Dudley holding something over my head. What the hell is going on? The answer comes as he dumps out his hat and pours a stream of gold coins over my head onto the floor. The cameras flash wildly. Trusting my actor's instinct, I make a choice. I reach down and pick up a gold coin and sniff it. Turns out to be chocolate Easter candy. Dali barks a warning.
Bugs Bunny, just one. Not good for you.
I'm then told that Salvador Dali no longer paints on canvas. In his later years, he's taken to doing action paintings. And I have just been painted by Salvador Dali! Oh man, not just painted, anointed with gold! Oh god, to state the obvious, it was fucking surreal! The symbolism was too much! Hey, maybe this rich and famous stuff will rub off on me. Maybe! Are you kidding? It's in the stars! It's in the gold! It's in the Dali painting of me! But it wasn't. Dali's words,
Just one. Not good for you.
turned out to be more than just a warning about the dangers of chocolate. I took it as a caution against worshiping gold. And it turned into a self-fulfilling prophecy because no matter how many fabulously wealthy people I would entertain, no matter how many extravagantly glamorous parties I would perform at, riches and fame were not to be mine. However, as it turns out, I do have one hell of a chocolate habit. Thank you. We're going to fast forward a little bit here to, fast forward a couple of years. I'm performing at a party at the Plaza Hotel Ballroom, and what can I say? It should be interesting, but the Plaza had worn off. The charm is like, I was over it. I'd done 15 or 20 Gaga galas there, and the Plaza does things to people. Bad things. No wonder Eloise grew up to be an alcoholic. Liza fans. Yeah. Oh, but tonight is really special because I'm performing with the top event entertainment company in New York, Le Frou Frou. And we're being filmed tonight by the TV show Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. Which, as you may remember, was basically a travelogue that promoted celebrity worship and should have been called Bad Taste of the Bourgeoisie. Thank you. Its host was Robin Leach, a spokesman for the finer things that you and I will never have unless we go into debt so far or we become indentured servants. Which, come to think of it, was probably why the show was created in the first place. Why?
I imagine Robin Leach narrating.
I imagine Robin Leach narrating. Tonight, on Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, we spotlight a theatrical troupe whose sole job is to help the wealthiest people in the world have fun at their own parties. They performed everywhere from the grand opening gala of Trump Tower to the grand opening gala of Trump Casino. Not to mention Trump's New Year's Eve party 3 different times. One for each wife. Are you planning a bar mitzvah? Do you want to throw one that makes the neighbors jizz in their jockeys? One New York millionaire rented the ocean liner QE2, complete with the Peter Douche in orchestra. He even had the city council president fly in on a helicopter to congratulate the lad. And even to repay the dad for his campaign contributions, but the affair would not have been complete without lay frou. That's right. The dad was later indicted for conspiracy to defraud the IRS, but who's counting? The IRS, obviously, it's what they do. Nine?
Having a political event.
Having a political event? These clowns put the fun back in fundraising, partying with everyone from Mario Cuomo, the governor, to Ronald Reagan, the president, at the Washington Hilton. Yes, the same Washington Hilton where he'd already been shot. What's wrong with that man's memory? I mean, if Abraham Lincoln had survived, would he have ever gone back to Ford's Theater? I don't think so. No, even if they offered him orchestra seats, no possible. It's like the saying goes, shoot me once, shame on you. Shoot me again in exactly the same place. I'm fucking asking for it. Yes, I'd like to ask you now, who then are these performers who get to rub elbows with the most fabulous personalities in the world? Well, they're mainly unemployed actors and dancers who've carved out a little niche for themselves in this tiny subcategory of show business. No chance of vertical mobility and every opportunity for humiliation. These thespians persevere in brightening up parties they themselves would never be invited to. So, I'm in my dressing room, our dressing room, and so is the director of our lifestyle segment. And he's having me do my impression of Robin Leach while wearing our oversized mask of him. Me and Leach, we're like that, baby. All the time, Leach is, well, he's basically throwing off-color jokes at me like, they say the bigger the bell tower, the smaller the ding-dong. And I say, oh yeah? Well, your wife told me I give new meaning to the phrase great head. Touché. So, just then he says, I want you to take the big hat off so we can zoom the camera in on your face, still doing the impression. We'd like to see the man behind the mask. Yes! Network television! So, when my segment airs, I have a bunch of friends over to watch and cheer me on. I hear Leach's voice. Oh, here's someone who looks familiar. Cut to me doing the impression and talking with the head on. Then cut to just my hands putting the mask back into the case. Voiceover of Leach. Not a bad impression either. Then, and fade out. Fuck. Fuck. That was the first time I experienced famous interruptus. But it wasn't the last. Okay. And speaking of bad taste of the bourgeoisie, the first time I met Donald Trump was at the opening of his home and castle, Trump Tower. Back in the day before he built his 58-story mound of shit, monolith, people said, you can't tear down the Bonwit Teller building. It's a New York City landmark. Trump had one word for them. Run! Then he had some other words. I'm gonna completely demolish that loser. So, I am wearing my signature costume, which you heard about from Michael, the human television, which was basically hands of my reruns. I'm basically a newsman who just happens to have a two-dimensional TV screen attached to his body. I'm positioned at the front door of Trump Tower so I can greet all the guests. The press is everywhere. Finally, an embarrassingly overly elongated limo pulls up. Smaller the hands, the longer the limo, I guess. And who should step out but Donald and Ivana Trump, aka immigrant wife number one. They're looking very trumped up. So I just stick my fake microphone out and say, "Welcome to the grand opening gala of Trump Tower. Would you like to say something to the folks at home?" Trump looks me up and down. Now remember, my TV costume makes me look like I'm on TV from the waist up, but yet I am acting as if I'm a TV newsman interviewing him on the street. Trump is thrown by this incongruity. I guess a sense of irony is not part of his excellent temperament. Yeah, I can see his mind working, and it's not a pretty sight. Am I supposed to watch this guy on TV, or am I supposed to be on TV with him? Wait a minute, that would be cool. If I had my own TV show, oh, I could pretend to fire people. I'd like to fire this loser right now. I like to point out that I'm one of the very few people who has ever seen Donald Trump's mind working. You laugh, but it scarred me for life. But then he decides to, play along. So he grabs my microphone and says, "I'd like to say to everyone, come to Trump Tower for shopping like you've never seen. We got tremendous stores, not little tiny dinky stores. No way, no lightweight stores here. Oh, we've even got a cafe where you can get cafefe. It's called Cafe Cafefe. And we've got some really special, over-the-top, supercalifragilistic, better in the world, better than any of yours, escalators." Yeah, Trump has always been a master of the language. He's on record as saying, and I quote, "I know words. I have the best words, but there's no better word than stupid." I want to trust rare moments of self-reflection. And then the party gets going. And I should just leave this on my microphone because then I start interviewing the guests. "Hey, how are the drinks, okay? Strong enough?" "Yeah, I could tell. You know how I could tell?" "No." "Oh, you're talking to my thumb." That's it. Works every time. Out of the corner of my eye, I see the Donald talking to another big guy who's about his size. Oh my God, it's Penthouse magazine publisher Bob Guccione, or as he was fondly known, the Gooch. Yeah, oh, looks like their conversation's heating up. The body language is getting all alpha male aggressive. Oh, looks like the Donald's gonna bump the Gooch with his chest. Or maybe the Gooch is gonna bump the Donald with his Gooch. I lip read their conversation.
My wife's breasts are bigger than yours.
Oh yeah? Well, at least my wife's breasts are real.
Real? Yeah, real saggy.
Hey, watch it, or I'll tell the media about your wife's sex video.
How'd you know about that?
I didn't. I just made it up.
You would love it.
I bet it's tremendous, Gooch.
Now, for the uninitiated, the word gooch is actually slang for the area between the anus and the testicles. And although there's usually no better word than stupid, I think in this case, there's no better word than gooch. And speaking of the male genitalia, who should come over to talk to me but the Penthouse pet of the year. Oh, yeah. Oh my God, she's being very playful, touching the dials on my TV costume. If you let me play with your knobs, I let you play with mine. Then it dawns on me, she's stoned out of her centerfold mind. I try to excuse myself, but before I can, she's grabbing my TV and pulling me onto the dance floor with her in 6-inch heels. We're gonna go down, with everybody watching. 30 seconds ago, an adolescent fantasy seemed to be coming true, but on a dime, the smoky saxophone playing in my head had turned into a blaring car alarm voice. Step away from the pen. Step away from the pen. What if she pukes on me? What if her bodybuilder boyfriend sees me and cancels my series? Then, in a psychedelic rush of fear-induced endorphins, I start to hallucinate. I see Donald Trump coming toward us. He swoops in and catches her before she falls and helps her stagger off the dance floor. Wow. For one supernatural moment, I say to myself, hey, Trump's a classy guy after all. Nah, back to the hallucination. Then I see Trump headed to the door with Princess Penthouse. Was he taking her out to help her get a taxi? He hears my thoughts, turns to me and says, "Run!" When I snap out of my fever dream, I'm still stumble dancing with the pet of the year. Oh, God, I told her it's time for the TV to take a commercial break. Peel away and head for the dressing room. Oh, Jesus. And the safety of my next costumed character. Oh, man. A big head. I got a safe character coming up. It's a big head of America's favorite dad, Bill Cosby. Oh, yeah. And now, I'd like to address the subject of occupational health and safety. Most people would guess that, lifestyles, or rather parties of the rich and famous are not usually life-threatening events. However, sometimes my life was in danger because of my love affair with a certain white lady. She was never on the guest list, but somehow she always showed up. Like that time at a catering hall in Howard Beach, Queens. Cue the Godfather theme, and with hair and makeup from Goodfellas. The host was rich, but famous, only by virtue of his 24 criminal indictments. The guy had so many racketeering charges, his name was Rico. Ba-dum-bum. Or should I say, bada bing! Yeah, two big guys with expensive Armani suits kept walking through our dressing room like they owned the place. Our stage manager would, he would have objected, but he was also a dancer. And dancers like to keep their legs in good working order. Capiche? First I thought, they're just coming in to look at the female dancers. But actually, they only wanted to use our private dressing room. Over and over again. I had a nose for this kind of activity. My nose picked up a scent. And that scent was nose candy! The little orange vial in my pocket was currently empty, and I had 2 more hours of party cheerleading to go. So the next time the soldiers marched into the bathroom, I decided, they probably wouldn't mind if, I'll just join them. So I hopped into the dressing room with a fake look of surprise that said, "Why, are you doing cocaine? Well, I go with that. And actually, I like some too." Now, that brilliant strategy could have gotten my knees capped, or maybe a pair of cement slippers, or the updated version, cement Nikes, which are kind of like Air Jordans, but much heavier. Yeah, but for some reason, these guys pegged me as one of their fellow addicts and offered me a gigantic spoonful. They were, however, clearly not smiling. And yet, there was that tiny pile, looking like a majestic snow-capped peak, glowing with the shavings of God's white beard, waiting for me to ascend the summit where I would not meet God, I would be God, for about 20 minutes. And this was my favorite comment. Free Coke! The grim-faced giants started to wonder why I was hesitating. Oh my God, did they think I'm a cop? Do gangsters kill cops? Only if they own them, right? And then, as if an automatic, my nose jerked down involuntarily and hoovered up to close to $100 worth of booger sugar. Oh yeah! Oh. Whoa! One of the hoods looked me coldly in the eyes and said, "Hey, bet that's the best Coke you ever had." Actually, my ex-roommate's brother-in-law was a Colombian drug lord. So no, it wasn't the best I ever. But my head off, drugged up and down in agreement. Oh, by the way, this was our dressing room, so I didn't have a shirt on. The guy looked at my skinny chest and says, "You tell anybody about this, I'll put your chest where your back is." Amazingly, I did not feel high anymore. On high alert? Oh yeah. Not high. Oh, just the thought of a chest and back mashup quickly turned my euphoria into euphoria. I excused my way out of the bathroom and I went back into the party. First I put on a shirt and did some jokes, even some drunk jokes, which somehow didn't seem that funny anymore. Thank you. Whoa. But you know, I didn't need cocaine to seek out mortal danger. Like that time at a high-end country club on the North Shore, Great Gatsby Land, where the theme of the party was communism! Yes, the club members were of the moneyed class, and having the entertainment dress up like famous communists was their idea of jolly good fun. I drew the short straw and got Leon Trotsky. Me and Vladimir Lenin walked around the crowded party tent, saying things like, "Hey Vlad, you ain't got no class." We were a big hit until we got to the serving room. Yeah, the extra large caterer who was dishing up the goulash looks at me and says, "I don't serve commies. I kill them." Oh, I guess no one told them that we were, actors portraying historical figures who, by definition, were long dead. But I could see by the look in his eye that he probably had killed some communists in their own country before he became poster boy for untreated PTSD. I could also see that he was a motorcycle enthusiast because he was wearing a t-shirt that said, "I'd rather see my sister in a whorehouse than on the back of a Jap bike." I didn't like the shirt. So I stayed in character and I said, "I just got back from the Eastern Front where we stopped Hitler. Could you just please give me some chicken Kiev?" The guy almost jumped over the table. "You commie bastard! We want WW2! It was a team effort, Bubba. What you call me? Oh, nothing, but, the Harley Davidson shop called, and they said about through changing the oil on your girlfriend. I mean, your hog. Then he did jump over the table. Luckily for me, he didn't make it. He caught one foot in the beef stroganoff and brought the entire table over, splattering brown gravy onto all the club members who were wearing their fine white summer linen. Oh, so much white linen they look like a nursing staff. But now with the brown gravy all over them, they look more like the staff of a colonic cleansing clinic. There's some colonic cleansing clinic fans here tonight. I'm not going to talk about myself in that particular situation, but just then, two extra large bouncers grabbed the surly server and hauled his fat white ass out of the party. And I never saw Joe the plumber again. Luckily, if he ever sees me, he won't recognize me. He's still looking for Leon Trotsky. But I have to say, watching the president of the Rush Limbaugh fan club get his ass hauled out of the party didn't really feel like a victory. I mean, as Trotsky himself would have probably said, once again, the ruling class defeats the workers by dividing them against each other. True that, Leon. No wonder Stalin had him killed. Thank you. Yeah. Oh boy, line.
Speaking of polemical.
Oh, and speaking of polemical politicos. I gotta remember that one. For the time that he was mayor of New York City, I had the job of wearing the Mayor Koch big head. Yes, wearing his oversized head through parties made me kind of, basically promote him as a harmless bobblehead clown, stumbling through galas, waving my two thumbs up salute, well, his two thumbs up salute, and shouting his version of build the wall, which, as you may remember, was, how am I doing? Yeah, line.
I'd given up thinking.
I'd given up thinking that I was going to get discovered at one of these events. With no chance of vertical mobility. Is Robin Leach still here? Okay. So, what did it matter if my head was still hidden? I might as well have some fun. And so I did. I got to share the stage with tap dancing great Sandman Sims. Woo! That's right. And as he displayed his superhuman tap dancing, I got to show off my breakdancing skills, ending with a backspin on the floor, which I'll always remember as the beginning of my arthritis. Yeah, and wow. Oh, I'm sorry, line?
I was on ABC's.
I was on ABC's Regis and Kathy Lee Live, of course, as the bobblehead mayor, two separate occasions. I guess just in case Kathy Lee had been so drunk she couldn't remember the first one. Once I was even on the cover of the New York Daily News. Right there, folks. Standing next to hydrocephalic Mario Cuomo and bobblehead Ronald Reagan. Hey, front of the Daily News is pretty good public relations for a struggling actor. And if you were familiar with the contours of my hands, you could actually tell it was me. Or not. Some of our performers, many of whom were gay, would tease me about, what I was doing in the dressing room. Oh, who are we going to be tonight, Stan? Mayor Crotch? Oops, I'm sorry. Mayor Cock? I'm so silly. Mayor Crotchety Cock? Oh, man. You really know how to get into that girl's head. Which is good, because nobody else wants to get into any other part of the old queen. Line.
I even appeared at several.
I even appeared at several events that the mayor himself was present. One time, he even gave me a shout out from the stage. And, there's this guy who keeps showing up at parties that I go to. Oh, there he is, right there. I guess you know you're famous when you finally get a stocking. But oh, you know, people say that being mayor's given me a swelled head. But this is ridiculous. How am I doing? How am I doing? And I'll never forget the time that I was standing outside of our private bus, waiting to go into the Metropolitan Club for Senator Christopher Dodd's private birthday party. And I look over at this limousine parked next to us, and who's looking back at me but Senator and astronaut John Glenn. I take the Koch head and start fooling around with it and see if I could get a rise out of him. I spin it on my finger like a basketball. I get ready to bowl it like a bowling ball. Oh, he loved that one. I have a face-to-face conversation with it. Boy, what a big head you have. How am I doing? How am I doing? And then, because it was common knowledge that the mayor was gay, although he pretended not to be, I decided to take the Mayor Koch big head and lower it down to the region of my and mine getting a blowjob from Mayor Ed Koch. How am I doing? How am I doing? Oh, you're doing just fine, Mr. Mayor, just fine. I hope John Glenn was wearing his astronaut diapers, because he definitely pissed his pants. Yeah, me and the mayor had some pretty good times together. Until one night, I was walking back into the dressing room spouting my, how am I doing? How am I doing? And Randy, one of our very talented young drag performers, looked up from the dressing table and said, not so good, Mr. Mayor. AIDS had arrived, and it took Randy in less than a year. Followed closely by Randy's partner in life and art, Jimmy. And then the graceful ballet-trained stilt dancer, Clint. And then Andrew the Bunny, who had a satirical rabbit costume for every day of the month. And his bunnies put mine to shame. And then Randy's brother, TJ. And then Rodney, the Broadway dancer. Our Argentine choreographer, Pedro. And Frank, who was known to cabaret patrons in Greenwich Village and Provincetown as Ger, the waitress. Yeah, the campy banter on the bus was definitely dimmed. Looking back now, seeing the damage that Ed Koch did to the gay community during the AIDS crisis, keeping silent for years, basically turning a blind eye on his fellow gay men as they were being slaughtered by a terrifying disease. A disease that decimated our company of young performers, killing nearly half of the men. Friends of mine. That's Koch's legacy. That's on him. But my part in it, helping to promote his benign, clownish image, that's on me. Whoa, major tone shift. Little heavy with the theme there. So let's move forward to the early 2000s. Line.
And speaking of themes.
And speaking of what?
Themes.
Oh, and speaking of themes. What? Did I write? Speaking of themes, as any professional party planner will tell you, the theme is what makes the party magic. That's right. It's party magic. You have to have a magical theme. Now, maybe you want to go with the Studio 54 theme. We'll have disco dances, 90s disco music. We could even have a VIP room where you and your friends could snort heroin right off the table. Just kidding. Unless you like that. Oh, you might? Oh, sure, we can make that happen. That's party magic. So, this horny finance mogul out on Long Island gets an idea for the theme of his party. What do we got here? Got another one? Oh yeah. The theme of his party, and that theme is, sex. Not Sex in the City, not everything you always wanted to know about sex, but I couldn't afford to try. Not even Sex, the Final Frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Intercourse. No, nothing that creative. Just sex, 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 sex. So when I arrive at the Money Movers' newly minted McMansion, I see that there are 4 dressing trailers. One for actors, dancers, drag performers, and a much smaller trailer for strippers. Well, I guess they probably don't need that much costume space. One,
I'm then informed.
I'm then informed that I will be playing a Pakistani man who sells pornographic magazines out of a newsstand on the old 42nd Street. Well, this was obviously against my, moral code, sense of decency, not to mention inclusiveness. But it was pre-9/11. And the money was very good. So I swallowed my dignity and I put on a rented Pakistani porn salesman costume. And I went to work. Hawking X-rated magazines on a fake newsstand on some rich perv's West Hampton block. As the guests arrive, the host comes out to inspect my performance. And he's dressed, wait for it, in a silk bathrobe, smoking a pipe. Get it yet? The Playboy magazine under his arm. Yeah, that's right. This dude's idea of fun was to drop 300 grand on a party so 500 of his closest friends could watch him impersonate Hugh Hefner. Now, the next magical moment happens when the 1%er's 3-year-old comes out to say goodnight to Daddy and sees all these naked pictures on whatever this is someone built in our driveway. The nanny ushers the confused boy away. Dad promises himself to always remember that moment. Like the commercial says, gourmet caterers, $40,000. Event entertainment, $65,000. The look on your toddler's face the first time he sees pornography, priceless. So, for cocktails, the backyard has been transformed into the street of the aptly named Bangkok, which translates in Thai to Village of Wild Plums, or as it's known to men of a certain age, Disneyland for my dick. Yeah. Okay. You been there? Oh, no, sorry. Sorry, G. Blind?
So for my next
costume character, I'm playing an American businessman who's dressed in a suit with his pants down around his ankles. I'm handcuffed to a voluptuous Thai policewoman who's just raided the whorehouse that I was patronizing. Which, of course, never really happens in Bangkok, but like most softcore porn, story logic was not a priority. So, as she's pushing me through the crowd and degrading me, I realize this is a masochist wet dream. Wow. One.
Some guys pay.
Hey, yeah, some guys pay for this kind of treatment. For me, it was strictly business. Show business! A tiny subcategory of show business. Robin, aren't you dead? I'm sorry, one.
As we act out.
As we act out our degrading little scene, we encourage the guests to follow us into the giant party tent for a delicious meal. Once inside, the disco thump is so loud and so strong, it smacks any inhibitions you might have right out of you. Even the most tight-ass people immediately relax their sphincters. And there on the stage are the dancers, dressed in very little, awkwardly gripping stripper poles. Wait, these kids are obviously not strippers, but more like the recent alums of Queens College dance department. I'm wondering, where are the real strippers? And then, at the far end of the tent, I spot the pièce de résistance. There lies a giant heart-shaped bed with a huge mirror over it, so everyone in the party can see who's in it. And who's in it? The real strippers, of course. Having simulated sex with the host and some of his closest bros. He's no longer Hugh Hefner now, too, by the way. No, now he's wearing some serious S&M wear. He's got a black studded jockstrap, leather vest, black leather police hat. Oh man, I think that outfit was left over from the Village People number at the party planner's last bar mitzvah. Oh, and now he's up on stage shimmying up one of the stripper poles trying to get to the top. Oh my God, he's not that buff, so it's kind of hard for him. Pun intended. Oh, now he's waving to all his friends. They're cheering and dry humping the strippers. Now some other guys are moving onto the bed with their wives, trying to replicate that thing they did before the kids were born. I grab the hand of a female guest and pull her on the stage with me. Quite a feat considering my pants are still around my ankles. Good thing I know how to cha-cha. 1, 2, the stroke like strobes, the mirror ball mirrors. And then finally, a 10-foot tall pink paper mache penis is pushed onto the stage and erupts climactically with an explosion of cream-colored confetti. Voila! Now that's potty magic. I'm in a private palace of Western decadence, being paid to entertain the rich and famous of the most powerful nation on earth. One crazy night, 1 hour from New York, 1 month before September 11th, 2001. I'd like to thank you all for coming. I also have some thank yous to people who the show could not have happened with. First of all, Michael Wiener from Bergman Live. You saw him earlier. So a big hand for Michael. He likes you guys so much. He's coming back right after I go. Also, the folks at Dixon Place, especially Rob La Riviere and Ali Coven, Don Dom. I'd like to thank my director, Max McGuire. And his best man, Mark Midnick. Also, Mark and Max, I'd like to thank Bridge for Dance for donating the rehearsal space. I'd also like to thank Tulis McCall of Monologues and Madness, where I've been developing this piece for the past. I also like to thank, wherever he is, Lee Sachs for his continued support. He keeps me away from the cocaine. And I also like to thank Charlie Baker, who's my son.